Welcome. Make yourselves comfortable at our virtual event space. And I know for some of us, lunch has just finished, so feel free to grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you like. And maybe along the way, you want to grab yourselves a pen or paper or wherever you take notes, because this session is surely going to be jam-packed with insights from our expert. Okay? So yeah, let's begin. So welcome again, everyone. Welcome to the free masterclass organized by TalkWash. And in this session, we'll be talking about Autoflow, using automation to design the ideal recruitment process. Okay. So before we get started, I just want to introduce myself really quickly. I'm Angelica. I'm your host for today, and I encourage everyone to take screenshots, to take photos, share it on social media, and use the hashtag TalkPush is real good. Again, it's hashtag TalkPush is real good. Okay, so let's get into it. So I have a very quick question for everyone right here. Before we get into the details, of course, we're going to be talking about automation today, and how we can make the recruitment process better, more real time, and those kind of lovely words to put, right? But I want to know first with our audience members right here, how familiar are you with RPA? RPA being robotic process automation. So I'll be launching a poll right now, and I want you guys just, click on whichever matches your experience. Okay. Is okay. The answers are starting to pile in. There you go. I see a few of you have actually answered that you have experience in RPA, but would actually like to know more. So that's great, because obviously that's what we're supposed to be talking about here today. And of course, I can't do this alone. That's why we have our in-house recruitment expert here to share with us what exactly we can automate in the recruitment process and how we can do it. Okay. So I would like to introduce here on camera with me is Miss Carla Verdon. She is our customer success manager at TalkWash, and she is our in-house recruitment automation expert. She has been helping customers, large customers from different industries, and especially the BPO industry, to help improve their recruitment processes to make it faster, more real-time, more engaging, and generally better for everyone involved. Right? So welcome, Carla. I'm so glad to have you here with me.
Hi everyone. Hi Angelica. Thank you for inviting me or having me today for this webinar to share with you guys about automation and recruitment in general.
Yeah, so I have a very basic question over here, Carla. So why should people, or why should anyone to begin with automate their process, specifically in this context, our recruitment processes?
As we all know, recruitment process or recruitment in general it's centered around people, right? So if you are going to think about it, it may seem counterintuitive to automate some parts of the process, but in truth, it can actually benefit them in a lot of ways, especially those companies who are hiring in bulk. So, for example, BPO companies, retail companies. So if you're hiring in bulk, um, it can benefit you in a lot of ways because most of the tasks, most of the actions done by the team are manual and repetitive. And yeah, it's so manual, it's so repetitive. And I would really say that the recruitment process or the recruitment's life is, or the too much work, too little time really describes the work of a recruiter. And I can attest to that, and I can say that it's true because I used to be a recruiter, or I was a recruiter on my first job, and some of the tasks that I used to do would be sourcing through different job boards, through different sourcing channels, and then I'll be manually extracting those leads, and then I will distribute them to different recruiters or phone screeners, and then right after that, I'll do phone interviews. I'll also track the application status using manual trackers like Excel or Google Sheets, and I also send follow-up reminders to those candidates that I was able to interview the day before. So it's a cycle, it's repetitive on a daily basis, and just imagine how great it would be if you're able to automate those tasks, those processes, right? So if you're going to automate that, it can definitely increase the productivity of the users, because if you're going to automate those tasks, those repetitive tasks, um, the recruiters are going to be focused on meaningful work. And aside from the recruiters, candidates can also benefit from it, because they're going to have a good candidate experience. So recruitment automation can enhance the candidate experience. It can be streamlined, so they can undergo a straightforward processes and even get faster responses from recruiters. And um, aside from that, I think one benefit of automating the recruitment process is it improves the quality of hire. So as I have mentioned earlier, the recruiters have more time, or can be more focused on meaningful work, and that all includes judging, or getting to know the candidate based on their characteristics, their skills, and they're able to eliminate some of the variables already because of automation. And last but not the least, I think would definitely be recruitment process automation would make the lives of the recruiters easier and faster. And that is actually one of the main reasons why we developed Autoflow, which we will be discussing more about today.
Yeah. It's sad to hear, that you had first-hand experience. You actually know what it's like for recruiters out there, how tough the job is, right? And I think a lot of our audience members here of talent acquisition professionals can actually relate to that anecdote that you've mentioned. And, that's why we're here. We want to make recruitment better. So, Carla, please tell me, what is the logic behind Autoflow? How does it work?
Okay, sure. So Autoflow, the main idea behind it is, or the main reason why we developed such feature inside TalkPush, is we want to remove the manual repetitive tasks done by the recruiters and automate those actions or those tasks that they are doing on a daily basis. And that includes updating the status of the candidates or sending them follow-ups, as I have also mentioned earlier. And the main logic that we're following here is, if this specific candidate meet this criteria or these parameters, then a specific action will happen. A specific action will take place. So later on, I will be showing you guys how are we going to configure that into TalkPush and give you more idea, and show you how to set it up so that you can really identify or visualize like how we do automation inside TalkPush.
Great. I can't wait for that. But in the meantime, let's talk a bit more about, how Autoflow came to be. Like, what's the story behind it? How did TalkPush come into that kind of mentality that, we need to focus more, or we have to invest more in automation? So what's the backstory behind that?
Okay, so just to share with you guys, Autoflow is actually a new feature. We just launched it last year around May 2020. So before Autoflow, we already have an automation in place. And I think our original clients or some of our clients here who joined us here today might actually remember that. And that's what we call smart filters. So as I have mentioned, it's an automation, but it's very limited as it is only linear. The candidates can only be moved to either shortlisted and rejected, and the parameters that we can only set there are based from the responses of the candidates to the pre-screening questions. So it's super linear. You can just move candidates to shortlisted and reject if they meet this or that. So that's it. So that's smart filters.
Okay. And
But
then,
yeah, sorry.
yeah, so based from here, smart filters was very limited, right? And that's why Autoflow came to happen. But as you were mentioning, you were talking about the candidate journey. What does that have to do with Autoflow?
Yeah. So as you all know, at some point in time, we realized that the candidate journey is actually not linear. It is not linear at all. So each candidate has their own journey. It's unique per application. For example, it might be easy for you, Angelica, to apply to a TalkPush role or to land a job in TalkPush, and you'll just have to follow like steps 1, 2, 3. But for some candidates, for example, they might have to take extra steps or more steps, such as 4, 5, 6. And there are even times when the recruiters have to be flexible. So there are times that the candidates have to take the assessments first before they take HR interviews. So, it's not really standard. It's not linear. And there are a lot of flexibility inside candidate journey or the recruitment process itself. And for us, to support that unique journey for each candidate, we need to level up the kind of automation that we have or that we are offering inside TalkPush. So I would really consider Autoflow as the Smart Filters version 2.0. It's a leveled up automation that can really reduce the manual work being done by the recruiters by using different triggers and criteria, so they can either move candidates or send or reach out to the candidates automatically. So that's it. And yeah, just to share, or not to brag, but ever since we launched the Autoflow, we were actually able to record 3.6 million operations already. And this just shows how much our clients love using Autoflow. And aside from that, to top that, another proof of how effective Autoflow is we recently reported this to a TalkPush customer who's hiring for 5,000 people a month. And ever since we used Autoflow across all of their campaigns, they were able to save 3,476 man days, which is an equivalent of 93 recruiters doing the job for the last 6 months. So just imagine how great automation can, how great is that, right? Like how helpful automation is with the recruitment process.
I mean, imagine it's not 500, it's not 1,000, it's 5,000 people a month. And that's 5,000 hires specifically. So that's a different number from the people, from the amount of candidates you're actually processing. So you're probably processing like 10?
Right, the number. Yeah, maybe
So
it's safe to say, it's safe to say that that they are getting at least like 15,000 leads, 15 to 20,000 leads a month, or even more than that. And just imagine how much time it would take them if they are going to manually process all of those leads. So with automation, we were able to bring down that number and save 3,476 man days for them.
That's really impressive. And you know, as much as I want to know more about this this client who has saved this much days in just using automation, I want to know a bit more. What exactly did Autoflow do, or what exactly did Autoflow automate automate for this client to achieve this really amazing and impressive number that we have here?
Okay, so that's actually a good question. So right now, Autoflow can support a lot of actions, and that includes moving of candidates. So one is moving candidates. So whether it's from one campaign to another, one folder to another, we can already support that kind of automation or movement. So it's not linear anymore. We can also include the custom folders here. So before, when we used to have smart filters, as I've mentioned, we can only move candidates to shortlisted and rejected. But right now with Autoflow, we can also include the custom folders that we have set up inside the campaigns to move the candidates to. So that's one. The next action that we support through Autoflow would be creating profiles inside TalkPush. So this is very useful if you want the candidates to have another application to another campaign. So for example, that specific candidate is not qualified for the position. They did not meet the minimum qualifications that we have, but they can be endorsed to another campaign, to another job position. We can automate that process of moving the candidates automatically to another campaign and create another profile. So the next one would be messaging. And this already includes chasing, following up about assessments, interviews, or just asking them to complete the pre-screening questions for the whole application process. And maybe application updates or status as well. And the last action that we have would be labeling. So if you want to put automation on, for example, you want to put identifiers or tags to those candidates if we meet the specific criteria, because it would be easier for you to filter them out inside TalkPush. If you do that, you can already do it via Autoflow. So those are the different actions that we're able to activate on some of the clients or some of the TalkPush customers that we have.
Mm-hmm. And Carla, just a curious question. Since you've had experience as a recruiter, among these 4 actions, which one you think, if it was automated during that time, would have made a really big impact in your productivity, the amount of work you do, that kind of thing?
I would say it's messaging. out of all the Autoflow actions that we have, because it's really time consuming. Like, I have to get the phone numbers from an Excel sheet and use my phone to message those candidates every now and then. And sometimes I might forget to send them reminders, follow-ups for their interview. So there are a lot of mistakes that can happen because we're manually doing that. So definitely I would pick messaging. How about you? Again, maybe you can also share, or before that, I think you want to ask our participants?
Let's ask our audience. So I'll be launching another poll. Tell us which of these four actions you think would most help you in your work as a recruiter or a talent acquisition professional. But yeah, to answer your question, Carla, I don't have experience as a recruiter, but I can imagine the amount of work that could be saved by automating all of your messaging interactions and stuff with your candidates. But I think another, helpful thing to automate there is the moving of candidates, because I think if I understood this correctly, since you can set up folders and that kind of thing, you can use it to track where your candidates are in the process and that kind of thing. So it's very organized, right?
Yes, that's true. Actually, a lot of our participants also think that moving candidates to the next step of the process is one of the things, or that would definitely help them out the most. Yeah. And the messaging reminders as well. So those are the top two that we have. Messaging reminders, further instructions and follow-ups, and moving candidates to the next step of the process. So
we got the answers correct.
Yes.
So that is we can resonate with you guys. Okay, so it's very interesting to hear that we can automate all of these actions. But now, Carla, here's the big question. How do we set this up? Is this something that anybody can do, or is this something that requires some technical experience that we might need a back-end engineer probably configuring, this task? Tell us what's up.
Based on the description of Autoflow, you would really think that it's something that needs to be set up on the back end or would need help from engineering or product team. But to be honest, it's not. You can, everyone who has access to talk push campaigns and campaign settings can definitely set their own Autoflow actions or Autoflow triggers. So today, I'm just going to share with you, or I'm going to show you how will you be able to set up your own Autoflows and how does the UI looks like, and explain to you a little bit about what are the different elements that you can find on that page. So please allow me to share my screen so that I can share with you guys how to do that. So there. Now, what I'm sharing with you guys will be the campaign list inside TalkPush. And if you want to be able to access the Autoflow settings or Autoflow page, one thing that you have to do is just click on the three dots on the right side of the page and just click on settings. And after clicking settings, you should be able to, you should be redirected to the main settings or the campaign settings. And you should see here the Autoflow tab. So you just have to click on it and it should take you already to the Autoflow page. And this is how it's going to look like. There. So as you guys can see, we already have some Autoflows that we set up on this specific campaign. And I'm just going to share with you guys the different elements or what you can find here on this page, okay? So first, on the left side of the page, this is where you can see the different triggers or parameters or criteria that we have set up for that Autoflow action. And then at the middle part of the page, that's what the action is. We also have here the number of operations. So this one just shows like how many candidates have we activated that specific Autoflow. And we should be able to see here as well when did we last execute that and if it's turned on or turned off. So in the status, if it's green, it means that it's turned on. And if it's grayed out, it means that it's turned off. So basically that's it. And just to kind of explain or briefly share with you guys how to read this Autoflow setting. For example, this one, if folder is completed and night shift flexibility is yes and deeper experience is yes, then we will send a message to the candidate with the message that you guys are seeing here. So that's it. Clarifications, any questions?
Yeah, so it still follows the if and then logic you were telling us earlier today, right?
Yes, it still follows that same logic.
It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, so there's actually no questions on my end, but for our audience members, members, if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the chat box on the right side of your screen, and we'll revisit some of them later on in our question and answer portion. Yeah, so that's it. So what else, Carla? What else do you have to show us?
I think for now, I'm just going to share with you guys how are we going to add any autoflow action. So let's proceed with that. So first is you just have to click on the add action button that we have here at the top. And after clicking on add action, it should take you to this page already where you are going to set up the triggers or the parameters, the criteria. So for example, you are hiring for customer success representative, and the minimum qualifications that you are looking for a candidate is they should have like 1 year and up BPO experience. So the education age doesn't really matter as long as they have 1 year and up BPO experience. So that is the trigger, that is the minimum qualification that we have to put here in Autoflow, so that we can already filter out those who are not qualified for the role and who are qualified. So first, you just have to click on create trigger, and you have to decide at which folder do you want to start the automation, which folder the candidate should start before we move them to a different folder or before we activate a specific action. So since most of our candidates are going to end up in the completed folder after they complete the pre-screening questions, I'm just going to use that for this demo. And then you just have to click on next after you have decided on which folder. So the next thing that you're going to see would be the drop down for the data points or the attributes. So it's important that on each question that you are going to ask the candidates on the pre-screening questions, you should attach a specific attribute or data point to it so that you can use it as triggers if you're going to automate that specific, to automate the movements of those candidates. So since earlier we mentioned that we're only hiring for candidates with BPO experience of 1 year and up, we are just going to use that trigger instead and just choose an operator, and you just have to put the value here. So please be reminded that whatever value that you guys put inside your multiple choice type question or inside your campaign questions, it should also be the same here in Autoflow, so that we can really capture the right value or responses. So we can just put 1 year and up and just click on add. So if that is the only qualification or trigger that you want, then you can just go ahead and click on create. But if there are other factors that you have to consider, you can either use the operators or an end and add different or more data points. So for this one, you just have to click on create, and next thing to do is to choose an action. So I have already shared with you guys the different actions that we have under Autoflow. And I think for this specific demo, I'm just going to choose to transfer them to a different campaign and folder. So if ever that I would like to transfer them to a different campaign or folder, I just have to click on transfer candidate and select which campaign do I want to transfer them to in which folder. So for example, pooling candidates, and just click on save. So after you click on save, there will be a pop-up asking you if you want to turn this autoflow action on already. So if you click on yes, it will be turned on automatically. But if you click on no, it's still turned off. So basically, if the candidates are going to meet that specific criteria, the autoflow won't happen. It won't work. So yeah. That's it. That's it. That's actually how you're going to configure your own autoflow setting. It's pretty straightforward as long as you know what are the different criteria, parameters, or minimum qualifications that you are looking for. Then I think it would be easier for you to set it up. And if you know where the candidates are coming from and where they want them to go, I think you'll find it easy to set up your own or configure your own autoflow settings as well.
Question over here, Carla. So, when you set up this autoflows, is this something that's set up across all campaigns, across all job positions that we have listed, or is this something we can edit or configure per job position that we have? Because obviously, not all of the job openings that I'll be hiring, for example, is just going to be CSRs. Maybe I'll be hiring on voice agents as well, or those things. So there are different requirements for that, of course, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a good question. So each campaign in TalkPost, you have the flexibility to customize it on how you see fit. with the campaigns or qualifications that you are looking for. So for example, you're hiring for CSR and PSR, you can set up two different autoflows and even two different campaign set of questions for those campaigns. So you can basically you can customize each campaign or each of the autoflows for each of those campaigns.
That's pretty amazing. It's very straightforward. Anyone can do it. You can customize it according to your recruitment process. So I think it's a game changer over here, right? But just to be a bit, curious about the tracking and stuff, like I assume, of course, that people or recruiters can still manually move people around, send them messages. How will we be able to distinguish which ones are done by actual human beings and which ones are done by Autoflow?
Okay, so that's actually a good question. So earlier, when I showed you the Autoflow dashboard or the page wherein you can set up the autoflows, there is the log setup there. Wait, I'm just gonna show it to you guys right now. So here, the number of operations part, you can see there's numbers on how many operations did we do for that specific autoflow action. And if you hover your mouse over that specific number, you can actually click on it and it will take you to a new page. So on this page, you should be able to see the list of candidates that were able to do that specific autoflow action and a link to their application inside TalkPush so that you can see if the autoflow action was processed successfully or not. So here's an example. We have the name, the application IDs, when did we trigger the autoflow, and what's the status. So we have that. But aside from that, the recruiters should be able to see as well inside the chatbot or the conversation history if a movement is done via autoflow or not. So I'll just share with you an example. So here, if you can see the move from shortlist to assessment via autoflow, this movement from shortlisted to assessment is done by the autoflow action or autoflow setting that we have set up inside your campaign. So you should be able to track it here as well. And this is the difference if a recruiter manually moves them to a different folder. So there will be an action by the recruiter's name, and when a timestamp should show up here. So yeah, that's how you can also track it.
Great. Thanks for answering my question. We actually have a question from our audience, just a clarification. Can you clarify what do we mean by folder?
Okay, so folder can be the different stages that you guys have inside your campaigns. So we have default folders called inbox, completed, shortlisted, rejected. So it's basically different recruitment process statuses that we have inside your campaigns. And you can even set up custom folders on how you think you can use it. Like for example, in a recruitment process for one company, you also have first interview, second interview, and the panel interview. You can even create custom folders for that. So those are what we call folders. It's like stages, application stages inside your campaign.
Thanks for the clarification, Carla. For the rest of our audience members, again, feel free to leave your questions at the chat box on the right side. Okay? But in the meantime, I have another question. So, in this really nice scenario of, recruiters, companies saving a lot of time and using Autoflow with different ways, but I want to kind of paint a better picture here. I want to build a scenario over here. So, where we can best automate, or which parts of the recruitment process we can automate, right? So for example, my question here would be that recruiters, I'm not a recruiter, but recruiters have trouble sorting through leads because it's one of the most time consuming and one of the most labor intensive tasks that there is to, see which leads are qualified, which ones are unqualified. So how can we make this part, or how can we make this task easier for recruiters? Is there a way automation can save the day?
Yeah, actually, this specific problem or pain point is what we usually hear across all of our customers. So it is an autoflow and automation that we do across everyone, across all of our clients or client database here in TalkPush. So we automatically filter the candidates based on the minimum qualifications and also based on the responses of the candidates through the pre-screening questions. So we are either moving them to shortlisted or rejected or other custom folders according to the criteria that we are going to set up. So as I have mentioned earlier, one example that I gave would be for a CSR role, we're only hiring for candidates with BPO experience 1 year and up. So those who will answer yes to that specific question, or if they will answer that they have 1 year and up experience, will automatically be moved to shortlisted. But if they don't, we're just going to move them to the rejected folder. And it actually gives time, or it helps the recruiters in prioritizing which candidates are they going to touch base to first, and which candidates should they just endorse to different campaigns right after. So yeah, we can do that. And um, based on data as well, and since we started doing that for our clients, we were able to record an increase in processing rate of 36% in just 6 months. So imagine from 29%, we're already at 65% processing rate across all of the clients that we have in automating that specific part.
That's really amazing. Imagine, getting more than 50 off. I mean, before you were less than 30 and now you're beyond 50 or 60, right? So that's a big deal already for recruiters out there, especially if you're in high volume recruitment where you're literally processing hundreds and thousands of candidates. Okay?
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Yeah. I actually have another scenario for you. So when, one of the struggles that recruiters also have is getting candidates to complete their application, because their foot is half in, but then it's not entirely in there. So how can we help them, increase completion rates?
Okay. So apart from automatically filtering those candidates, this is also one of the problems or pain points that our clients are telling us. So they have a lot of candidates dropping off mid-process. And in order for us to help you guys, or to help our clients out on that, we activate or we set up Autoflow for Inbox, wherein we send automated reminders, automated chase messages, or follow up to those candidates that did not complete the pre-screening questions first. So we use delay actions as well to send messages automatically to them, maybe after 24 hours, after 1 day or 2 days, just to get them to really complete the pre-screening questions that we have set up.
And do you also have amazing results to show us?
Yeah, I have the numbers right here, and I'll be showing it to you guys on the next slide. And we are able to record 42% increase in completion rates again in just 6 months. So from 55% to 97% across different sourcing channels, but mainly the driver here would be those applications that we are getting from Messenger, since the process is really straightforward. So automation is really helping them in solving the drop-off rate for their applicants.
Carla, you're telling me that recruiters are now able to process more candidates. I mean, the amount of work, they're able to do more work now. But at the same time, there are more leads coming in at the same time just because of automation.
That's true. That's what I'm saying.
It's a game changer, guys. I'm telling you, recruitment automation is a game changer. And of course, the application or the recruitment process doesn't end there once they submit their application, right? And we have other steps, of course, and one of them is the assessments, and that's another drop-off for candidates out there. So how can we help them here, Carla? Please tell us.
Actually, it's the same also with setting up, or it's also the same scenario with those candidates that are dropping off in the early stages of the application. We can set up reminders, or we can chase those candidates. We can send them follow-up messages to encourage them to complete the assessments that we have in place. So just to share with everyone as well, in TalkPush, we can integrate with different assessment providers. So if you guys have your own assessment tool, we can integrate with that so that we can definitely give you a more seamless experience for your candidates. And it would be easier for us to set up those continuous reminders if we have that integration going. So yeah, it's also the same thing as the drop-off rate. We're just going to set up continuous reminders to those candidates to encourage them to complete the assessments. We can even use the delay action. Maybe we can send messages after 2 days, 3 days, and 7 days up until the link expires, and process them after that. And I think I'm pretty sure you're going to ask me about the results. So I think for this one, I'm just gonna go ahead a few. And we reported faster turnaround time, definitely, and higher completion rates in terms of assessment um, since we started doing that chase messages or follow up messages. I think for a specific company that I'm working closely with, we were able to record 33% of those who were sent the reminders. Yeah, 33% of those candidates that were sent the reminders completed the assessments because of the continuous reminders or follow-up messages that we are sending them. So 33% is still a lot. Like for
Yeah.
example, if yeah, it's still a lot. So yeah.
I mean, maybe without reminders, it would have been less or, not existent. It's still
Yeah,
more candidates for you guys.
yeah, that's true. And that's all, and no work required for the recruiters.
Mhm.
So it's all automation.
Yeah. So you're telling me here that the candidate interactions between the recruiter and the candidate, that can be automated as well. And that's going to be, time saving, of course, because a lot of the interactions with the recruiters and the candidates, there's a lot of back and forth for further questions, instructions, and that kind of thing. But if we automate that, it's all there. They see it all at once, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really neat. That's a really neat trick to have in your books, guys. But speaking of tricks, maybe there's something else you could tell us. It's amazing you've taught us how to set up Autoflow, what specific parts of the process we can automate. But are there any best practices out there that you can share with our audience members?
Mm, yeah, I think they have. So first, I think it would be better if you guys are going to visualize your process in a workflow. If you have a workflow, like a recruitment process workflow inside your company, it will definitely help you and guide you in setting up your autoflows, because in autoflows, we actually recommend that you you create it in order on how you want it to happen, on how you want to activate it. So definitely visualizing your process in, or having a recruitment process flow in hand whenever you're creating autoflows would help you a lot in creating those. And next is make use of custom folders to track your conversions, and it would also be easier for you to know the statuses, to know which step of the process the candidates are. So that custom folders, and I think the next one would be to map candidate attributes on your pre-screening questions. So as I have mentioned, Autoflow is triggered by specific data points or attributes that we have inside your candidate's profile. So as much as possible, attach an attribute to your question so that we can just use them as triggers to activate Autoflow. And next would be to create a template campaign. So we are able to copy Autoflow configurations already across all of the campaigns that we have. I was not able to share it earlier, but it's a new feature that we just launched this year. And just to share, before we used to activate autoflows, or we used to create autoflows one by one for each campaign, even if it's the same thing. But right now, since we already have the copy autoflow configuration in place, it's easier because we can just copy the autoflows that we have set up in one campaign, and if it's going to be the same for the other campaigns, we just have to copy and paste basically. So I think it would just make sense if you're going to create a campaign you can use as templates. So you just have to put all of the autoflows setups that you have there and copy it whenever you need it for new campaigns that you have. And last,
Just to be clear, Carla, when they copy those, Autoflow configurations, it's something that they can edit later on, right? It doesn't have to stay that way forever.
yes, definitely. So all of the autoflows, if you're going to set up, you can update it, you can edit that, and you can even turn it off.
Okay. Yeah. Any other tips and tricks you have?
I think I just have one last more, and it's the very important trick or tip that I can share with you guys. So test all of your autoflow campaigns or autoflow setup. So before you go live with it, I think I would really suggest that you create a candidate inside your TalkPush campaign first and see how it's gonna go. If the autoflow triggers work effectively or not. Just so before activating it or before allowing candidates to flow inside your companies. And that's it. I think that's it. That's it.
Yeah, perfect. So now we actually open the floor for our audience members to ask questions to our expert over here. Do you guys have any questions for Carla? Just leave it in the chat. You can send it to the host if you're shy for everyone else.
Go ask away, guys. But it's totally okay if you won't ask anything.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. If there are no questions, well, at least for now, you can always hit up Carla at LinkedIn. You can take out your phones right now and scan the QR codes on your screen. You can connect with her on LinkedIn. It will lead you straight to her profile. Just send her a request. And the other thing, the other QR code over here is, of course, if you guys want to know more about TalkPush, you want to know more about how we can help your recruitment process, of course, automation is a big thing, but that's not all we do. So book a demo to learn more. And that's it, guys. So thanks for coming today. If there's anything I want you guys to take away from everything that we said, is that Autoflow is a game changer. So right there, that theme sums it up. What it's like to be a recruiter with Autoflow and without Autoflow. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Yeah, we hope to see you in the next event. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.